Hey, I'm back. So, welcome back to the Pop and Wrestling podcast with me, Coach 23. So, earlier we did episode 28. This is episode 29, or whatever I put, but I believe this is episode 29. So, yeah, earlier we talked about, my NXT review, my point of view, some of the WWE stuff. Let me just fix my headset and hair. Yeah, so right now we're back to the pop culture talk. Because like I said, this is the Pop and Wrestling podcast. So yesterday, uh, well, previous pop culture talk, first two episodes we talk about the Marvel movies, MCU setup, brief history. Yesterday for the pop talk, we talk about the early brief history of the DC movies, DC Comics movies. When we talk about Superman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, Michael Keaton's Batman, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, and now, and we ended yesterday about the talk that when I saw the Dark Knight Rises, one of the trailers that was shown, because I love seeing trailers, I really do, because it helps me, anticipate more what, because there are times that trailers in a theater is different from like a YouTube trailer. I don't know why. But yeah, when I was like watching the Dark Knight Rises, I'm like seeing for the first time the trailer or the teaser for Man of Steel. I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. So, as I said, they asked Christopher Nolan, or Warner Brothers asked Christopher Nolan to start a shared universe for DC movies, and he said no. He's done with The Dark Knight. He can help produce, look for, directors or talents for, for the universe that they want to create. But Christian Bale said no as well, that he's done with playing Batman at the time, or for the time being. So they're like, okay, so what do we do then? Christopher Nolan is being the producer with Warner Brothers. They hired director Zack Snyder to direct the Man of Steel, the new Superman movie. So um, Zack Snyder is well known for directing like the 300 movies. No, I believe just the first movie. 300, Watchmen, Sucker Punch. So he's known for like being like this, he's not an eccentric guy, or maybe he is, but when he talk to or do interviews, he's like a normal dude with good vision. Like I said, Watchmen, despite being different from the comic book, or some aspects are different from the comic book or the graphic novel, it's one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Maybe the top five even. So I'm like, oh, they got him, and I think he'll be able to do well with this DC, DC universe now. So people are calling it unofficially the DC Extended Universe, or DCEU, because Marvel Universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, so DC Cinematic Universe, DC Extended Universe, and then they started with Man of Steel. So Man of Steel starring, or the actors who are cast for Man of Steel were Henry Cavill playing Clark Kent Superman, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, uh, Diane Diane Lane as Martha Kent, Kevin Costner as Jonathan Kent, uh, Michael Shannon as Zod, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. So they're decent, great cast. I mean, if you ask me, it's one of my favorite DC movies as well, because this was like you said, a comic Superman that was ripped from the comic books and it made it in a movie. Like buildings are falling. It's like when you watch Dragon Ball, cartoons, when they're like when Cell or Goku are fighting, like buildings or mountains are crashing, and this was like my Superman, because this was like, oh, this is the Superman I was waiting for, because of especially the death of Superman is one of my favorite graphic novels of all time, and how they trashed Metropolis. So they did that, and it shared universe was actually started that then, because they didn't really know who to cast after the sequel for Man of Steel. So they cast, because if you're an Easter egg, hunter like me, LexCorp was shown, which is an own company owned by Lex Luthor. Wayne Industries satellites, was destroyed by Superman and Zod. So I'm like, okay, so they're really, extending this universe. So after a few years, maybe 3 or 4 years, they cast Ben Affleck as Batman, Bruce Wayne. They cast uh, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. They hired uh, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, which is, I believe, like, an okay, because Jesse Eisenberg is a great actor. Um, if you watch The Social Network, he's good there. American Ultra is he was good as there. The Zombieland movies, so he's kind of nerdish. But then again, you can see like his Lex Luthor is like a Lex Luthor slash Riddler. That's the type of personality he had, I believe, in my mind, he had in Batman versus Superman, because they made the unofficial sequel to Man of Steel, Batman v Superman or versus Superman, Dawn of Justice. Why did they call it Dawn of Justice? It's like the unofficial prequel as well for the Justice League movie. So they already like set up the cast for then after Batman vs Superman, which is really unique. I'll tell my take later whether what they did right and wrong about this universe or the Snyderverse. So they already cast like Ray Fisher as Cyborg, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, Arthur Curry. Who did they cast? Yeah, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. They cast Ezra Miller as the Flash, a Barry Allen version. So that was the start up, to bring this universe to life. So the Justice League, afterwards, the sequel for Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, or the next movie, is Justice League, or was Justice League at the time. So they already set it up. They already did it. I believe they signed those actors, most of the actors, to like movies of their own or franchise movie of their own. Gal Gadot did Wonder Woman 1 and Wonder Woman 84. Jason Momoa did Aquaman 1 and Aquaman The Lost Kingdom, I believe it's titled. Yeah, and The Lost Kingdom. And The Flash did The Flash. Ezra Miller did The Flash. Among other characters that they extended in part of the DC extended universe for the shared universe, Shazam, starring Zachary Levi of Chuck, if you're a fan of Chuck, uh, and Black Adam, which starred The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, because Dwayne Johnson was like the first DCU or DCEU that was cast as Black Adam, because he was like penned to be Black Adam's, I believe, since 2007 or 8. And he did the movie like latter part of 2010. So it's like 2018, 2019. He did Black Adam during that time, or 2020. So it was really late. It's like 12 years in the making. So, but the thing is, I'll tell you the story, what went right and what went wrong. So for me, it's a decent universe. They really tried. So let's go with what's wrong, because I want to end now the this episode with a lighter, positive light. So let's go with what went wrong first. The cons. It wasn't really that polished in terms of a shared universe compared to Marvel. Although yeah, let's say Marvel was a little bit unpolished when they did the first phase, which is Iron Man 1, 2, Captain America, Thor, Avengers movies, and I believe the last part was Iron Man 3, or Incredible Hulk was also part of that. So they were like, it's not polished, as it's like, okay, what are we doing? So they were after like Iron Man 2, that's the time that, okay, this is how we're going to set up our universe. But yeah, they're still like, okay, there's no mention of Thor in Captain America, there's no mention of this one, for this one, of this one. But the end credit scenes was a part of it, or were a part of it, that, really connected them. So with the Snyderverse, it wasn't that polished. Yeah, Zack Snyder has a knack of showing like Easter eggs in his movies, and he did that with the Man of Steel. Then Dawn of Justice. The thing is, everything went wrong. Started with Batman versus Superman, because when he shot it and it's like the finished product, he wanted like a 3 hour movie, or at least a 3 hour and a half movie, or 3 hour movie for Batman versus Superman. And Warner Brothers, or like I said, if you're a studio, you much would you much as many as people want to watch the movies. And for some studio executives, it's not, it's not, it's possible though, but it's not really that much uh revenue getting wise if it's like a longer movie. Because if, like I said, if here in Manila, yeah, we now have like midnight screenings, but back then, if a movie or a mall or movie theater starts their showing or screening at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m., normally it will end at 8 or 9 p.m. So it's just like if it's a 2 hour movie, it's a 3 hour movie, you can only like show three times for like the entire day. So it's like if a person will watch a movie, will like buy a ticket, you'll it's only like three, if it's like one person will watch, it will like three times. But if it's a 2 hour, you can squeeze it to like a 10 hour, you know, screening per day, if you get my drift. So Warner executives, Zack Snyder didn't really have that much power. Like let's say in the Marvel universe, a John Favreau, or at the time Joss Whedon or the Russo brothers, or again with Kevin Feige. So Warner Brothers, since they own the franchises of DC, the franchise DC, they went to Zack Snyder and like, what? You will not show a 3 hour movie. We can give you that option in like DVD, or a digital release or DVD release or Blu-ray the release back then. You can have your ultimate cut, which is like a 3 hour or 3 hour and a half, you know, screening. So, but Zack Snyder in his like all his like I believe his ego, personality, like I don't really want to do that. I wanted to show like the entirety of the movie, what I've edited it to do. But still, DC has the power at the time and said no, you won't. So I believe at the movie screening or of Batman versus Superman, it's it's just like 2 hour, which is already a long time for some people. Not me. I like long movies. So 2 hours or like 2 hours and 20 minutes. So it's like 40 minutes of, you know, they edited 40 minutes of the movie itself. So it's like if you watch the theatrical cut of Batman versus Superman, if you're not a diehard DC movie fan like me, some people will be confused. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Why is it like that? And for me, I'm like, yeah, your question makes sense of why is it like that or this or that. And best guess it's edited out. Then when I first saw the ultimate cut for Batman versus Superman, um, it was like 3 hours long. I'm like, oh, so now everything makes sense from one point to another because Zack Snyder was the one who edited the ultimate cut. Warner Brothers executives and decision makers edited the theatrical cut. So whatever or whichever part of the DC, the Warner Brothers, executives like cut this. Now it totally makes sense or made sense. And then afterwards, like yeah, they should have produced the ultimate cut immediately, and it will make more money. I believe Man of Steel did like 500, 600, 700 million. But for Batman versus Superman, which was the time or almost the same time when Marvel's Captain America Civil War were coming out, and Captain America Civil War made like $1 billion, these executives were like, yeah, with Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and in the movie at the same time, we will be getting like 100 million as well, or 500, oh, a billion. I believe they got like 750 to 800 million for Batman versus Superman, which marketing cost, production cost, they didn't really. It's not a flop. They made money, but not that much. So that's one wrong thing that they made. Warner Brothers decision makers, you know, use their power to do this, to do like editing and whatnot. Then afterwards, the next movie after uh, Batman vs Superman was the Justice League. Now, here's the story about the Justice League. I the theatrical cut, I was entertained because, like I said, being a fan, a comic book fan for a long time, I was, it's my dream to see these people, to see this group of people, uh, in the same theater or the same movie. Because at the time back then, the only shared universe that you can have with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, it's just in the cartoons. And this is real life. This is movies. So like, yeah, Superman, Henry Cavill. I find Henry Cavill fine. Batman as Ben Affleck as Batman is also great. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. She really aced the character. Aquaman, yeah, everyone. So I found it interesting. I'm like, okay, then even before Justice League came out, uh, there's already a negative, news coming out from that. Reshoots, Warner Media or Warner Brothers executives are already intervening. Like, no, we don't like the script. Let's do a reshoot until Zack Snyder had enough and said, I'm quitting. And during that time, or almost at the same time, his daughter passed away. So he was really burned out with all the decision makers and whatnot. Um, and still, Warner Media, like most of the at least they Zack Snyder was like finished like 90% or 95% of the movie. They hired the former director of the Avengers movies, Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, um, Joss Whedon, to continue do editing and continue do reshoots for Justice League. During this time, Henry Cavill was filming Mission Impossible. And if you see Mission Impossible Fallout, he has a beard, a mustache and a beard. And at the time when Justice League was needing a reshoot, they have to have Henry Cavill. And Henry Cavill, I cannot shave my beard because I'm doing this movie with Tom Cruise. And it's difficult for me to grow this beard like this, the same thing. It's like doing the reshoots and Mission Impossible at the same time, almost at the same time. So they edited his beard out that really turned crappy. It's like he has a weird mouth, and because it was the editing or the CGI of the beard, I'm like, okay, so it's already messed up. And like I said, marketing wise, the Justice League theatrical cut was decent enough. It wasn't great. It wasn't good. For me, it wasn't that bad because I'm still, toying the line of positiveness, of positivity. I'm like, it's okay. But then again, yeah, you know, then yeah, I believe the budget was like 250 million, 275 million for the budget. Marketing isn't even included in the 250 million budget, so it's like 100 million more. And the movie Justice League did like they did well in the opening box office, the opening weekend. I believe they did like 200, 300 million, almost in the global box office. But overall, the entire gross of Justice League had like 700, 750 million. They didn't. If they made money, it's only a little. So yeah. Then afterwards, the decision was made by DC executives or Marvel executives, or sorry, Warner Brothers executives. Like, yeah, let's just create universes from different characters. So hence, Wonder Woman had her first movie with Gal Gadot with Wonder Woman 1 and Wonder Woman 84. We will tackle those movies in other episodes. So they had Aquaman do his own movie. The Flash had his own movie. Um, what else? Shazam and Black Adam, as I said earlier. So they tried doing that because they cannot make any more Justice League movies until the pandemic, 2020, or latter part of 2020, when fans demand to show the ultimate cut of the Justice League, the Zack Snyder version. So they gave Zack Snyder $75 million or so to have the reshoots, and he did reshoots even during pandemic. He was like according to some people, he was directing actors in a green screen via Zoom. like, yeah, do this, do that, and that whatnot. And they showed the ultimate Snyder cut of Justice League, a 4-hour movie. It was supposed to be like they were supposed to be like cutting it to like 6 episodes, but instead, you know what? After like 2 weeks before after a month before the movie was supposed to be released in HBO Max, they said, you know what? Now, no, not no more series. Just let's do it as a movie. So they did. It's a 4-hour movie, and everything made sense again. I believe they tried to release it for like a week or two in movie theaters, but it didn't really fizzle out really because it was the pandemic, and people were like, why should we pay for it when we can pay it by watching in HBO Max? So everything made sense. So probably in my opinion, what went wrong about this is like the vision of the filmmakers against the vision of the executives. They clashed. It wasn't really it, to be fair, it's currently happening in the Marvel universe or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's quite a clash between the filmmakers and the executives. Like, don't do this, do this, don't do that, don't do that. Director will say, I want to do this, I want to do that, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. So it's quite clashing right now. And if you ask me, the most people who are suffering are the fans itself. Not just the movies that they're doing, but the fans itself. Because like instead of them focusing on like let's give them what they of course, yeah, I will be honest, a fan doesn't really know what he wants. He thinks that, oh, I want this, but then oh, why did they do that? So it really depends. It's like you should be like meeting halfway. If you're like crossing a bridge, you should be meeting halfway. Okay, let's everyone should have a compromise. So that's probably what the worst thing why the Snyderverse didn't work out. It's the clash of filmmakers and the executives themselves. And the one who suffered were the movies and the fans of those movies. But it's not always like negative for the Snyderverse. There's also quite some positive. Henry Cavill was, introduced into superstardom, no pun intended, as Superman. I like his version of Superman in some way. I felt like his Superman was like an extension of the Smallville Superman of Tom Welling, because the Smallville version of Tom Welling, if you can see it in Prime Video here in the Philippines, entire 10 seasons of Smallville. Superman is like a brooding dark, not really dark character, but a brooding serious character compared to like your Christopher Reeve Superman or your Brandon Routh version of Superman, like Snurdy or whatnot. He was like a brooding character of Superman, but he's a badass version of Superman. His fight with Zod, his fight with Batman in Batman vs Superman, his fight with Doomsday in Batman, even in the Justice League movies, the way he fought Stephen Wolf, Superman was a badass. He made Superman a badass. The casting of Gal Gadot is perfect as Wonder Woman. Although, yeah, when she made a comment in Jimmy Kimmel, like, or Conan, said that in the comic books, Wonder Woman is a, let's say, well endowed female, but Gal Gadot said, I have like a body of a beauty queen. In her words, I don't have boobs. But for me, she's perfect because she embodied the character of Wonder Woman, of Diana Prince, or Princess Diana. Despite her being, no, it's not about race. It's her being and Israeli, and people say, why an Israeli is an Amazon? But no, the Amazon for Wonder Woman is a fictional Amazon. So yeah, it's different. But they did. They cast a perfect Gal Gadot, in my opinion. And also, I know Gal Gadot was, starting to get well known in with the Fast and Furious family. She got killed off in Fast Six. They cast her immediately as Wonder Woman. And according to her, she was about to go back to Israel and just, do her own stuff there. When she got cast as Wonder Woman, she got, even more popular. Her partnership with Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84. She had a good relationship with her, and they did, for me, Wonder Woman 84 was a decent movie, but the first Wonder Woman movie was great. Jason Momoa, okay, kind of in demand, but the thing is, he made, Aquaman a little bit more grounded, a little bit more, an everyman character compared to like, a royalty, which is in if you read the comics, yeah, Arthur Curry is toying between royalty and being an everyman, but you can still much of more the royalty there, being King Arthur. No pun intended, he's King Arthur. Ezra Miller as the Flash, it was like a casting similar with a Spider-Man. But the thing is, I like his version as well of the Flash. I was highly entertained by the Flash movie, um, with Michael Keaton returning as Batman there. That's a story for another time. Uh, Ray Fisher as Cyborg was also a great casting. Uh, and yeah, Ben Affleck. When people said, when they cast Ben Affleck as Batman, everyone said, why did they cast him as Batman? He was already Daredevil, and that movie didn't, that movie sucked. I found Daredevil quite great and entertaining when it first came out, and when the director's cut came out, it was even better than the theatrical cut. So there's something about the director's cut that's actually better than the theatrical cut. So those are my suggestion to my comic book brethren or fans. Watch the director's cut of comic book movies if there are some, because those are significantly way much better than the theatrical cut. And I found Ben Affleck's Batman a perfect casting as well. And I like Christian Bale's Batman. I like Michael Keaton's Batman. I grew up in the Michael Keaton Batman era. But for me, I always significantly like if you have an alter ego type of character, superhero character like Bruce Wayne as Batman, Clark Kent as Superman, Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Sometimes, an actor, it's really difficult for an actor to balance those roles. Christian Bale is a great Batman, but he's crappy as Bruce Wayne. He is good. He's great as the brooding one, but the playboy, eccentric Bruce Wayne, I didn't see that much in him during the Batman trilogy or the Dark Knight trilogy. Michael Keaton was a great Batman and a decent Bruce Wayne. Val Kilmer was a great Batman, but not really good Bruce Wayne. George Clooney was a great Bruce Wayne, but not as Batman. Ben Affleck, when I saw Batman vs Superman theatrical cut and even the Ultimate cut, he aced the Bruce Wayne Batman role in balance and perfectly. There's like a role when it's like brooding, talking to Alfred as a brooding Batman, talking to Wonder Woman in Justice League movies as a brooding Bruce Wayne. Then when he's like, talking to Clark Kent, he's trying to be, when he was like talking to girls, he was like a decent, great, you know, playboy, eccentric Bruce Wayne. When he's talking to Clark Kent, it became serious. It's like a brooding Bruce Wayne again. He's great and scary as Batman. Yeah, he's Batman kills. He's Batman uses a gun. So did Michael Keaton. so so well, directly Christian Bale killed, but indirectly because he did, as he said in the Batman Begins movie, I don't have to kill you, I just don't need to save you. But still murdered, Ras Al Ghul, and he still has a gun in his bat pod. But yeah, Ben Affleck as Batman. This is the pros. This is one of the good things that what went right. The casting for me for the Justice League or even like the extended universe of Dwayne Johnson's as Black Adam, Zachary Levi's as Shazam. It was perfect casting for me. And those are, those even those actors extended the layers of their profession that they can act doing any other movies, and you will not see them as typecast as, okay, Henry Cavill is only better as Superman. No. If you see Mission Impossible Fallout or even the movie A Cold A Cold Day in the Night or A Cold Night in Day or something like that, an action movie, he was decent in those movies. He was decent. He was great in Immortals. Um, Ben Affleck is Ben Affleck. He's a great actor. If you see The Accountant, he's great in there. Argo is one of my favorite movies of Ben Affleck. His 3 years there. Gal Gadot, every movie. I just wish Gal Gadot do more like dramatic. roles, but most of her movies right now are more action movies. I think she can add more layer on her acting prowess if she do like those dramatic or romantic movies. I mean, she did well in Wonder Woman 84 as far as acting is concerned. Jason Momoa is now known as an eccentric guy, like his character as Dante Reyes in Fast X. So this is actually when something went right in the Snyderverse. It's not really that bad. They propelled these actors to to stardom that they I believe they're only wishing and dreaming back then, and getting like roles right now that they want. Yeah, something went wrong. What went wrong? The clashing of the filmmakers and executives. They hurt the movies and they hurt the fans. So those are my opinion in terms of something of what happened to the Snyderverse. Something went right, something went wrong. Um, but yeah, so far everything something went right. I'm still looking forward. I'm looking forward to the DCU, and that's the topic for another future episode of the Pop Culture DC Comics, One Marvel Comics, comic book saga, comic book talks for the pop culture here in the Pop and Wrestling Podcast. So yeah, that's my take about the Snyderverse. Hope you like it. Hope you enjoy it. Like I said, if you don't like some of my takes, that's fine. Leave a comment, say yeah, maybe it's this and that. I will totally respect your opinion. I might not like it, but I will totally respect it. But yeah. So again, thank you for watching episode 28. No, 29 of the Pop and Wrestling Podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk about pro wrestling, life in general. Oh, sorry, pop culture and life in general. So see you guys tomorrow for a possible AEW Dynamite review and another, may probably another pop culture topic. What is it? What is it? It might be a surprise. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the Pop and Wrestling Podcast with me, Coach 23. See you guys sometimes.